This episode of the Ambitious Bookkeeper podcast is sponsored by the Power to Breakthrough Bootcamp by Workflow Queen. If you're a bookkeeper or accountant, finding yourself wanting to scale bigger, higher, better, and break through to the next level, then boy, do I have a surprise for you. I'm so excited to finally be announcing a brand new free bootcamp that is coming to you live from August 21st to August 25th, and it's called the Power to Breakthrough Bootcamp. This is going to be jam-packed with so much amazingness and so much value, free, might I add, over the 5-day period with none other than Alyssa Lang, the Workflow Queen herself. And during that time, she's going to be covering her 5 core pillars that she calls the Breakthrough Bookkeeper approach. Each day is going to be dedicated toward each one of these pillars, and you can expect that she'll be covering things like a powerful mindset, optimized offers, world-class systems, empowered company culture, and removable CEO. So if you're hitting a wall and feeling like you can't move forward, or you can't take on new clients because you don't have the right systems in place or the right team, or maybe you're not even really sure where to start with hiring, having the right mindset to really truly scale bigger, higher, better, and break through to that next level, then this is going to be the free bootcamp for you. You can go to workflowqueen.com/ambitious to sign up. You can also find the link in the show notes to this episode. Each day will be a live teaching session about an hour long, starting August 21st, going all the way to August 25th. That live teaching session will be at 12 p.m. Eastern every day. There will also be a live Q&A every single night at 5 p.m. Eastern for about an hour as well, with Alyssa Lang and her other breakthrough coach, Brooke Swan. If you've really been feeling stuck and overwhelmed and not sure where to start and how to get yourself leveled up, this is going to be the place you want to be. So just head on over to workflowqueen.com/ambitious and sign up today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to support@workflowqueen.com. We hope to see you there. Welcome back to
the Alyssa Serena Show
with our hands.
They can't see our hands, though. We're very excited, clearly.
Right.
From our voice, if you guys don't hear, we're so excited that you're here. We are doing a very special episode today for you guys, or it's a 2-part series.
Yeah,
we just decided
episode because we just are going to keep talking.
We literally don't stop. It's going to go on forever. It might end up being a 4-part.
So what are we talking about in this episode so that we get our listeners engaged?
See. Well, I'm going to preface from the very beginning. If you guys hear loud noises, just know that we are recording outside. So there might be a couple chirps and a couple loud cars here and there. So just be prepared. But in today's episode, we're really just diving deep into a couple of big questions that people have kind of reached out and wanted us to talk about as we're here in person together. And one of them being, how did me and Serena meet? And how did we really get into our friendship and really, just kind of dive deep and learn how to maintain that distance together, but yet still a strong friendship. And
there was another question posed of what we would do differently while scaling our business if we could do it all again. And we talk about staying motivated in our businesses. That's a big one.
Yeah.
We actually dive pretty deep if you can hang on for the hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah, it's quite a long episode. Yeah, it's going to be quite a long episode, but it is really fun. Just imagine it like you're sitting right next to us.
Yeah,
at a coffee
picnic
shop.
Table.
Or both. Clearly, it's a coffee shop picnic table. Coffee shop with picnic tables.
Dogs barking.
And dogs.
Birds chirping.
Yeah, outside. In the wilderness.
All right, let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to the Ambitious Bookkeeper podcast. I'm Serena Show, CPA, a mom of 3, and I've been running a virtual bookkeeping business from my home since 2017. You are in the right place if you are a bookkeeper, accountant, or an accounting student, and you believe and know in your heart that your purpose is bigger than sitting in a cubicle. If you're ready to learn some actionable tips and strategies for starting and growing your accounting business, then I hope you stick around. Okay, welcome to the Alyssa and Serena Show.
Yeah, I like this name of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because it's going to air on both podcasts, so we didn't really know how to intro this, but I'm Serena Show, CPA. I don't ever introduce myself that way.
I know, it's really weird. Okay, her name is Serena Show, CPA. She's the owner and founder Ambitious Bookkeeper, and also the Ambitious Bookkeeper podcast. Let me see how many things I get right about you.
Okay.
And also
like this.
the owner of her own firm, which is, of course, bookkeeping, but used to be called Serena Show CPA, only because that's still your contact in my phone since the first day we met. I just need to finally change it.
I know.
And she's awesome. She's a mom of 3. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
That's it. That's all. That's everything about me.
Yep, that's it. That's all. There's a lot of things, but I don't know if I could share all the things.
And I'm joined here today by Alyssa Lang, the owner and founder of Workflow Queen and her firm, Magnetic Bookkeeping and Consulting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've been in either of our worlds for any amount of time, you've probably seen us do some collaborations together. I am currently in Arrowhead. Do you say Arrowhead or Lake Arrowhead?
I say Arrowhead.
Okay.
Like when I'm introducing like where I live. Yes,
Yeah.
Arrowhead.
I'm in Arrowhead, California, on Alyssa's back. Do you call it a deck or a patio?
I think
I'm like all concerned about how I'm referring
I think
to
my mom
things.
calls it a lanai because she lives in Hawaii. So she's like, it's a lanai. And I'm like, okay, well, we talk in normal. So we call it a patio. So yes, this is my secondary patio. So it's like the back patio is probably what I would say.
Yeah. I was visiting someone recently and they have a situation like this where it's like elevated in the forest. And I called it a patio and he was like, it's a deck.
Oh, I don't care what you call it. You can just call it like the hangout zone, Harley's area.
So right now it's a podcast recording studio. We can get our mics and our computer.
Just got done at the lake. It's been such a good day today.
Yeah, we were ambitious. We were going to do a video podcast, but both of us decided we didn't want to get ready for that.
I also have hair like Tarzan right now, so it's probably not smart to be on video.
There's a no makeup situation happening.
But we showed up. That's the most important part
Yeah.
because I feel like we always try to feel like, I'm sure other people listening too, just always have this feeling that they always need to be perfect and everything needs to be great. And like, I got to do these videos. It's like, sometimes just show up as yourself. It is what it is. Or do it in another way where you still get the same output, but different input.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Me too. Which actually kind of rolls into our first question. So I kind of like
polled the
people. I was going to use a different word and my brain just doesn't work these days because I'm getting old. But yeah, I like kind of sporadically was like, oh, I should just poll the audience and be like, hey, we might record a podcast while we're together. Drop your questions that you want us to answer. And one of the questions that came in was, how did your friendship develop? I think this is a really good one to start the podcast, and then we'll roll into like more tactical businessy stuff.
Yeah.
But it was, how did your friendship develop and how to keep up with the distance? So part one of that question, how did our friendship develop? We kind of like what you were just talking about is like showing up as yourself and authentically. We were kind of talking about this while we were floating around in the lake. Like, what should we talk about
when she was getting bit by fish today?
Yeah, I totally got bit by a fish. I didn't know that was possible. I was like so trusting of the lake. I'm like, this isn't the ocean. There's no jellyfish. There's no sharks.
Surprise. The fish had the rainbow blue gill. I don't even know how to say the fish name.
The bloop, bloop, bloop. So we were talking about like how we were going to talk about this podcast. And I was like, oh, this question came in. And we started talking about
what it was like for us as like our friendship, one flourishing. What were the secret ingredients that seems to be that a lot of people can't figure out how to find, and not saying it's not possible, but it is. But like, what was it that we were kind of bringing up to our own like recognition of like how it came up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was all you though.
Yeah,
you
and that was
me.
But we were talking about, which is so out of character, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
But it was the beginning of 2020, I think.
It was because I started Workflow Queen, and you had just started Ambitious, but we both
started launching. I think we had already started, but like during the beginning of 2020 was kind of when I ramped everything up and decided to like launch my first digital product. I had already like had the
same. I think I only had kickoff on the sauna for like a week.
Yeah, I had the Instagram, I had a blog, but like I hadn't sold anything. I was just purely building. I was just sharing, honestly. I was sharing information and like kind of building an audience, but like not on purpose.
Yeah.
Not intentionally. I just was trying to create this community. And I found you on a hashtag, I think probably like a bookkeeper or workflows hashtag, literally.
Back when I was doing my own social media.
Yeah, back when you were same. Back when we were just children.
Back in my day.
In 2020, it feels like 1,000 years ago. And I was like, let's see who else is like posting stuff on these hashtags, back when hashtags really worked. and you popped up, and I honestly remember the first picture that like popped up in that feed was a picture of you with your first Yeti microphone.
Oh, where I was I was overly pointing. So excited. I was so excited. It was red. It matched my hair. I was like a whole thing. I know exactly what picture you're talking about. I know exactly which one.
And that was the one. And I was like, this girl looks fun. And I was like, I want to get to know her. And we're both kind of doing the same thing, but like not at the same audience.
Or
like
we're not
competing, but like also I didn't really care if we were. And I was just like, I just want to like link up with someone that is doing the same thing that I am, that also like it was perfect. You're a bookkeeper, you knew the industry, but you were also like trying to help the industry. And I was like, she looks fun. she looks so cool. I want to be her friend. And so I just DM'd you, and I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said.
I remember you found a screenshot. I remember you went all the way back in the 4 years of conversations, and you finally like took a screenshot of it.
Yeah. That would be really cool to recover that. I'd probably have it as like a video in my...
And like a story somewhere.
Yeah, or in my camera roll.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was probably something like, hey, like, I think you look cool. It was probably awkward as hell.
Yeah, it probably was. I don't really remember it, but I remember like, from my perspective, I, at that point, like started to gain traction at Workflow Queen, that people were noticing that I had a lot of pitches, a lot of people on like trying to reach out and being like, hey, can we collab, or can we do this, or how can you be on my program, or like pretty much how can you help me to everybody else who was talking to me. And I think the reason why, and that was kind of gonna flow into like how it would naturally happen, because like I said, there's so many people who come my way, that what was so significant about you that like made me like okay with it, I think it was one, like looking at your profile, like you showed up as yourself. I could see your face. That was a big thing. I do remember that. Because it wasn't like, you know, a lot of profiles, like especially in our space, a lot of people are so shy and want to hide behind the camera. I get it, dude. I'm going through that phase right now in my life where I don't want to be on
Hence
camera.
We're not on camera right now.
That's why. Because like anyways, it's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But I just remember like looking at your profile and being like, well, one, I also think I had stumbled across your blog. Remember, like I was telling you one time, like I stumbled across it, something about Dubsado. And it was a long time ago. This is when it was Serena Shoop CPA, and you had like a blog, and you were just like helping people
on my bookkeeping website.
Yeah, and it was just like because you wanted to just help other bookkeepers, and it just happened to be like one of your top blogs or something. And I just remember like being like, I feel like I recognize this name or something. And then I just remember being like, okay, and like, but the way you approached me was different. It wasn't like, hey, I would love to collab with you, and let's go do this. And I think you did ask a question around like, hey, we both help like the same people. Yeah. I would love to get to know you. It wasn't even like, hey, we know the same people, let's collab on a webinar.
Yeah, it was more like I just wanted to like talk to someone and like talk shop and like bounce ideas off of someone doing the same thing that I'm doing, basically.
Well, one, running your firm, plus also helping the community, and having two businesses is already like stressful on its own. So like to know someone who
was doing both.
I talk about this all the time, but like you're like the only person that I truly know that really understands what I'm going through. I mean, I have a lot of friends in the industry that like understand what I'm going through in regards to like the firm and stuff, but I mean like also operating this business, operating a different type of client, and also being a face to our
personal
community.
Brand and
and then like not only that, but also like the face to so many people in the community. Like we have a lot of people who look up to us. I mean, granted, yesterday, as of the day we were recording this podcast, yesterday we went to lunch with Brooke Swan, and we met someone who actually is a team member of several of our students in our programs, and that we personally know. And she was like, oh my God, it's like seeing celebrities. And we forget, but like we carry the weight in a different way, not just for our clients, but also for a big part of the industry, that it feels like a lot. So you're the one person that I know I can really relate with, because you get what you were carrying and what is overwhelming. Yeah. So I think that's why I really connected with you. And then we just started randomly, I don't even know how it just became all of a sudden like besties.
I know. I remember just chatting back and forth like almost all day. Everyone was on lockdown, so that was part of it. Like we had like this shared trauma. It was a trauma bond. Just kidding.
Love it.
It was a trauma bond of like being
stuff.
on lockdown and building this brand at the same time. We both kind of were building it, the same similar things at the same time, doing the blogs, doing the like trying to grow Instagram and like create a digital product or a course or whatever, and learning this whole different marketing beast that you don't need to learn for a bookkeeping firm.
No.
And just being on all the time in the face of something so like, I mean, I had no idea that things would get as big as they did. It was really just like a passion project.
Yeah,
for
it was
me.
same for me. It literally just kind of blew up in the most beautiful way.
Yeah, and I have so much dedication to stuff that like once I start a project, like I'm still here, y'all.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm not going away. We've seen the people come and go in the industry. Yeah.
I just have too much, like, not that I have too much at stake. It's just like for my own personal, like seeing something through. Yeah. And like, yeah. But anyways, so I just remember chatting back and forth because you knew what was happening, and we would share like, oh, I'm doing this for like, I think we talked about Facebook ads at one point, and like we were like, we should do an Instagram live together. That would be so fun just to like chat. And
I think that was like our first thing together was like, and I think it was around when the very first time I ever launched Kick Off with Asana. I think we did our Instagram live. But we just kept connecting. And then, like, we would do random Zoom calls. Like, that's kind of where it started, where we get on Zooms. And then we would talk about our firm, but we'd also talk about, like, these companies. And, like, we would just keep going, all these ideas. Because at that time, for anyone listening, when you're first starting your business, you definitely have, like, an overwhelm of ideas. And, like, you really need to get it out, even if it's, like, sometimes it's not the same when it's, like, a husband or a boyfriend or a friend. Yeah. Like, they really need to understand how to, like, go back and forth with you and, like, really understand what you're saying to be like, yeah, it's a really great idea. It's not crazy. And I remember like that's what we did for a good hot minute, and then it just kept going and it just kept building, and then it became like funny inside jokes, or like the dog would walk in, or like we would say something about that, and then conversations that just kept coming up, and they just kept building, and I didn't know they were going to turn into anything.
I didn't either. And then at one point, like you were still here in California. I don't think you were in Arrowhead yet, so you were down.
You're like, he's still here in California. I've been here the whole time.
Well, I know.
You left California. Oh, that was right.
That was right when I left.
That's right. I forgot, because we had a plan to eventually meet up in San Diego, but it just never worked out with the kids, and you were moving, and COVID, and we couldn't do anything. I remember that.
Yeah, and so I was like, you should come out to Arizona. Everything's open.
Yeah.
And so you did. We met up in Phoenix, and you booked a room.
I did. And then
and this is how we became close friends.
Yeah, this is how we really became super close. So what happened was, I went to go book the hotel room in, was it Scottsdale?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was in Scottsdale, Arizona. I go to book the hotel, and I swear to God to this day that I thought I pressed 2 beds. No, I just picked one big king bed. And so we like arrived. I think it was like right before we got there. I was like, I've got to tell you something. Like, I know we haven't met in real life, but when we do, we kind of have to sleep in the same bed, because I kind of booked a room that's like just one single bed. And Serena's like, okay. Like, it wasn't like a problem. We got our room and we just passed out. Like, it was not a problem, but it was just really funny because it was like, well, we're about to get real close here.
Yep. And that was the first time we met up. We hung out for like 3 days or something. And like,
we co-worked at the bar. Remember, we would sit at the bar and we would just sit there for hours
and just work together and share ideas and stuff like that. And so then we just kind of continued to do that. Then you started
was like also the first time, just to kind of take a step back real quick, but I think when we finally met in person, and you've brought this up today, but they don't know this, but like, like that was a chance for us to actually see each other personally and get to know each other on a deeper level. It wasn't just the business. It was also seeing your weird quirks, like of you dancing. I still have videos of like you dancing.
Like whistling while I work.
Yeah, like, they're whistling and the chewing of the mouth. Like, I can replicate everything that you do when you co-work now that I've been around you so many times co-working. You definitely have habits. I do the same. I'm like, I start doing like weird shit with my teeth. It's all bad. But that was like the first time that we also got deep into like relationships, life, what's happening at home, what, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's because like you feel safer when you're not like on a recorded Zoom call. Like, it feels a lot safer. So I think that was the opportunity that we got to be like, let's get serious. But then like, man, we've been like strategizing for 8 hours. Let's go to like the bar, have cocktails. Remember we had those little shots out of the rubber duckies? I was so excited about that. We had way too much fun. But yeah, we got to let loose. We got to be a different version of ourselves, like in front of each other, and have a good time. And then like over time, it's just not stopped.
Yeah. So to answer the question of like how our friendship developed, that's how. And also like to keep a friendship going, like how do you keep up with the distance? This is just like any other relationship. Like you still have to, like, it's a two-way thing. Like you have to show up for each other. Although like we give each other so much grace, as you should for many friends.
Anybody, any relationship.
If like people have personal stuff that happens, people get busy, but when you do get together, I'm sure anyone listening has a friend like this. When you do get together, it's like you never skipped a beat. Like when I got here, I was like, has it literally been a year since we've seen each other in person?
I literally felt like you were just here the night before. It was like, and I even said something. I was like, it's so weird. Like every time you're here, it's like I felt like I just saw you like literally like a couple days ago. It's been over a year.
Yeah,
it was since my birthday, because last year my birthday I spent in Prescott when we went to the lake.
Yeah,
I remember, and then I left. I had my travel trailer for like a month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's been a year. Yeah, but that's kind of how it like went down, and I think that for us, the big message was just be yourself, just show up authentically. And don't be afraid to tell your problems, because I think that's a huge thing. I think me and you both were not afraid to tell each other what we were actually struggling with, like in the business especially. And then I think we got deeper as we like knew what, in our life, like what we were like disconnected with and stuff like that. But I think that that's where, for most of my really close friendships, is always like, don't be afraid and always give more than you take. But then also know when, like, because I've been taken advantage of by people in the industry that I thought were going to be my friends, and then it like fizzled out. But like you said, we keep up with each other, but then literally for like a good 5-6 months, we both kind of just disappeared.
Yeah.
But then we would randomly like just be like, hey, like blah blah blah, and like here and there.
Yeah.
But we go through our own phase of that. But it's not, we don't take offense to it. I'm not offended by it. I'm like, you're busy, you've got your music stuff, you're just, life was happening. Life was happening to me. I didn't want to be in, like doing work and stuff. And I think, like you said, it's just so important, like any other relationship, to keep it up and just keep it going.
Like, just continue to check in with people.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be like, let's go do all these crazy adventures.
Yeah.
They could just come up as they go.
But I will say, like, if you're listening to this and you're like, I want, because people tell me that all the time. They're like, how do I find my Alyssa? Or
where's my Serena?
Yeah, how do I find my biz bestie like that? And it really did just start with a brave moment on my part. I am an introvert. This is the weird part about it, is like, you're the person that always like brings people together, and like you're very extroverted.
Which is funny, because I'm actually introverted.
Well, okay.
I just have to exude myself as extroverted, but I'm really truly, I like get like social anxiety.
Okay.
Like, but people don't know that, because I feel like I've had to force myself to do it.
So I just totally embrace actually being awkward and socially anxious.
She's still awkward.
And like
that has not changed.
And I have a very hard time going out of my way and starting conversations. It was easier online as a DM for sure. But like, don't be afraid to just like put yourself out there, and someone may or may not be receptive to it.
Yeah.
And if they're not receptive to it, then they're not the one. Like
they're not the one.
They're not the one.
They're not your soulmate, your biz soulmate. Yeah. No, absolutely not.
So try again with someone else, and then just keep up on your end of like, continue to reach out once you've established something, and make time to do a physical, like, in-person meetup for sure.
It doesn't have to be right away. It could be a couple years, and we understand the whole financial thing, but we made it cheap, and we made it easy for us to meet up. I think I flew to you drove. It was easier for me to go because you have kids, so me, I can kind of just go whenever, you know.
Yeah. And then you started putting on your retreats, and I came out to those, and so we got more like, you know, FaceTime with each other, and
then
all
BKX.
that. Yeah. That was before the retreats, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was Scottsdale, and then we met up a couple months later, which was in June, because I think we met up in Scottsdale in like March or something like that. And then it was June, which was BKX, where I was speaking. And then you came in, and we just had a little too much fun. We got to meet, that was like the first time me and Serena got to meet our students. Yeah. Like in person. And I think all of us were very, very excited, and there was like alcohol involved, and it was like a whole thing. But it was a lot of fun.
It sounds so bad.
But it's not even that bad though, because like it was like a sponsored event. I don't remember. I think it was Delio or something. Relay? Was
Relay sponsored and that
Keeper,
mixer.
Right? I think it was Keeper and Relay. I don't remember what it was, but I remember everyone wanted to buy us drinks, and they were like, Alyssa and Serena's here. And they were like pulling us everywhere, and we just had way too much fun. Literally just too much. And then it was just like a next day I had to speak, and it was
I
all
couldn't
bad.
even function.
But it was cool though. It was like she was there to support me while like she could have gone to the conference. She was there you were there for me. Yeah. While I was trying to speak and freaking out. Speaking on stage, literally like the last person to talk to me would be like, just breathe in your mouth, or whatever you said to me. I don't even remember what you said to me, but
I was your nose out through your mouth probably.
And I was so stressed. She was like my little hype woman with the camera and smiling and nodding at me. Yeah. It was great. And then after that was the 2 retreats. Yeah. I think the Nashville one, and then I know I've seen you before. Yeah,
and then
I feel like I did another thing.
You made a couple trips out to see me. You came out last summer, but you came out the summer before that too.
Because then that's when I bought my travel trailer on a whim while I was visiting you. Because I was like, I'm going to camp across the U.S. And you're like, why don't you just buy a travel trailer? And it's like opened up a can of worms. Next thing you know, I'm like, where's the RV place? And Serena's like,
I've like fed the monster on that one. I was like, why are you buying camping stuff? Why don't you just like buy an RV?
And then I was like, ooh.
I need to live vicariously through you.
And then I did. And then I ended up staying with you. I literally stayed the first night in my travel trailer in your driveway, and it was 4th of July, and then we went to Watson Lake, and then I took off, went to the Grand Canyon, then I went to Idaho, I went all over, and then came home. And then last year I was like, got snowed in from that storm.
Oh yeah, I came out in the wintertime too.
Oh, that's right before, because we went off-roading and I lost my bumper. I remember that. We went off-roading with random people that we met at the ski resort, and then we were parked next to like a big reggae band. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
I forgot their name though. It's going to drive me insane because the other day I was trying to tell this story about how like we ended up like being right next to them.
Yeah, it was Tomorrow's Bad Seeds.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then we went off-roading, lost my bumper, and then you left. And then I had my anxiety attack right after you left because the storm had started. Yeah. And that's another thing too. Serena was there for me for that. Like, it's not just business. It's become so much deeper. And like, I think that's where it's been really successful. So really the whole story is people, just find your people.
Yeah, put yourself out there.
Yeah, like you're going to fail. You're going to find some people, but you're going to find some really incredible people if you stick it out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's the personal story. That was only like a 20-minute story. We're good.
Yeah. I'm like, is that too long? Are people still here?
I know.
Let us know if you like that story and you want to share your biz bestie story.
I know we've shared it before on the podcast, but we didn't go that far in depth, I don't think.
No.
One of the other questions, we're going to switch gears a little bit and move into some more tactical things.
Love it. My favorite.
And we didn't really necessarily discuss what we would talk about on this. So this is kind of like a hot seat situation here.
Love it.
So what would you do differently while scaling your business if you could do it again? Ooh. So I'm gonna say, let's preface this with a bookkeeping firm, not obviously like our
course creation
businesses, because
they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Two different things, two different animals.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you actually have gotten the opportunity to do this because
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So why don't you just tell us what you did? Just kidding.
Yeah. Yes, actually I will. I totally forgot about that. So for context, for anybody wanting to know this, I had my first firm, which started out as taxes. And then I eventually realized that I was tired of people just being mad that they don't have a refund, or just like they just wanted a refund, which I get. Then it turned into like, how can I help business owners? And then that's when I found bookkeeping. I started Bookkeeper Launch, and it was like a whole thing. And so I started in the tax space, then moved into the bookkeeping space, and then Workflow Queen really like just flourished so fast. And like from that point on, I was like, I can't be in two different places. Like I can't. At that time, I did not know how to manage two different businesses. I feel like I've learned that over time, but it's overwhelming. So anyways, back in 2021, that's where I was like, I'm done with my firm. So I closed down Top Notch. I sold a portion of my client list, and then I gave away a lot of my clients to my students, which is really cool. I still have some students that still have my clients, which is really cool. And anyway, so I was just like, I'm done. I'm just going to go full force Workflow Queen. And then when I had the other idea to start it all over again, because I'm freaking crazy and I can't just be a normal person and just be like, I'm done with that, I close that door. That's when I started Magnetic Bookkeeping Consulting, and I started it in 2022. I think it was 2022 at the very beginning. But at that time I had asked that was the one thing I did do different. The thing that was huge for me was I didn't want to do it alone. That was huge for me. I was like, I'm just tired. Like, I'm tired of pulling all the strategy out. I'm tired of guiding. I'm tired of steering the ship. It's overwhelming, as you know.
And so, to be doing all the work on top of that.
Yeah, and that too.
Work.
And like, it's just so overwhelming. And so at the time when I knew that I wanted to make this happen and start another firm, I actually approached my then operations manager at Workflow Queen and asked her if she wanted to be my business partner. So that was something that I did differently. I wouldn't say it was a fail, because that's not the right word, because it was a great lesson, but I don't no longer have her as a partner anymore. I wish I would have thought through that process a little bit more, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
I mean, that's actually worth talking about, because I've had clients kind of do the same thing where they're like, I'm going to go into business with this person because they're the best. I feel kind of like the sales lady on Bridesmaids with the wedding rings. Mm-hmm. I feel like that about partnerships. I'm like, it's going to go sour. It's going to go south.
That will go away. She's like, and that will go away. She's like, look at you guys. You're so cute. That will go away.
Yeah. That's how I feel about business partnerships in general.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that happen
so
with
many
clients.
times. And they can work. But I feel like you've got to put in a lot of work.
They can work, but I think the only time they actually do work is when there's like more than 2 partners and it's like a group of partners that actually aren't active in the business and they hire other people to run the business. They're like silent partners.
They're out. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not involved in the day-to-day operations. That's the only time I've seen partnerships truly, really thrive.
Actually work. Yeah. But for me, so just to go back, the original question was like, what would I do? So that was what I did differently. Because little did I know that if I would have stopped and paused, and as you know, I'm very impulsive. Serena knows this about me. I'm impulsive, but that's just because I know exactly what I want in that moment. But sometimes the impulsiveness does backfire on me. Like where I'm almost like second guessing myself, it goes the wrong way. So I made the decision because I was kind of blinded by like, I don't want to do all this work, when like the solution shouldn't have been a partner. It should have been other team members to execute, to then grow into leaders, to then take over type of thing. So I just needed to slow down is really what I'm trying to tell anybody. If you're ever thinking about a partner, slow down. Do you actually really want it? Can you actually handle that? So that's what I did differently. But during that time, I thought it was like the smartest move. I really did, especially because she was good at different things. But the downfall was she had never been in the space as far as like owned her own firm, owned a business, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I felt like the best way I always describe this is I felt like I was in quicksand, like really thick mud that I was trying to run, but I had to go really slow.
Yeah.
And that's honestly how I felt, was because she totally okay that she wanted to learn a lot. How did the business operate? How did we do the month-end process? What does this look like? What's quality control? Explain, which is great. But then it meant, when we have that new client, can you walk me through everything? Which meant slow. And it got to a point where I was feeling really frustrated because I'm like, you know me, I'm a sprinter. If I want it done, I'm going to get it done, with certain exceptions. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that was really hard for me to have that. But like, I try to stick it out because I'm like, you chose this. And I let myself guilt trip myself that like, well, you signed up for this, like you have to do it, like who are you to tell her, like, all these things.
Yeah.
So that's what I did different. The other thing that I did differently too was from the beginning was hired. Like we actually did very intentionally start like, who can we hire, who can we bring on, like is there another bookkeeper, who can we hire in this space to be able to take care of all the things. And that was a big thing that we did differently. Also implemented the system right away. So as you know, I'm like known for Asana. So as soon as we did, I literally had someone that I hired that used my own program that I teach everybody in, and had them upload the same templates into my firm. So we started a brand new Asana, uploaded everything, customized everything that we needed to. Because every firm, no matter what, even if they use the templates, are always different. Like you're different. I know you've used some of our stuff. Like it changes. Like it's different.
Yeah.
So that was another really big thing that we did, was implementing the systems. We also documented a lot of like KPIs and information from the beginning, because I wanted to know immediately what wasn't going to go right and what wasn't going to go wrong. And then the other thing that we did differently was meetings, which obviously it was easy because we had a partner, so you can't like talk to yourself if you're like by yourself.
Yeah.
But you could schedule an intentional meeting with yourself to go through KPIs, performance, what's happening. Other than that, like I feel like it was one big blur, and you know this story, but like it was one big blur for like 8 months following that when we started it. Because it all happened fast. Hired a graphic designer, didn't want to mess around with social media. It was like immediately, I was like, I already knew exactly what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But the next, 6-ish months were a bit of a blur, only because I was feeling so disconnected from my partner. Like we did sponsorships, we were bringing on clients, like everything was great, but there was just massive disconnect. So I feel like I kind of pulled back and I kind of slowed down. We documented a lot of processes, but those processes landed on me to document, to put together. It's beyond just the project management system. There's like, how do we operate like as a company? And then I disappeared. Like, and that's how I always do things. I just disappeared. I just was like, I need a break. I don't know what, I'm disconnected. And that's when I found out that I was disconnected with, I took my travel trailer trip at that time. And then I was talking to you about it as well. And then I met with my coach and realized like, it's my partnership. Like, then I was willing to lose the company in the process and say, you could buy me out, I could buy you out, or we could dissolve it. But I wasn't willing to like work on it. And then after that, I was able to like kind of get back on my toes. So I felt like I kind of restarted it twice.
Yeah, you did.
Because I feel like a part of it died, which needed to happen. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to ride out the rest of the year. I went to Europe for 30 days, took time off from the business. That team member, because she also worked with me at Workflow Queen, ended up quitting as well at Workflow Queen. So I lost her not only as a partner, but also, and I knew I was going to risk that with the partnership change.
Yeah.
And then it was 2023 at the beginning of the year. And I was like, I'm just going to coast the rest of the year. I'm not going to try to push anything. And then it felt like I was rebirthed. It felt like new energy, and it was like a new year. And like, then I changed everything, and everything was like, now it's moving fast, and now I can change whatever I want. I don't have to get approval.
Yeah, you don't have to double check.
It's been so nice. It's been so nice. But that's what I kind of did different was I did one major thing that I did differently that I wouldn't say regret, 'cause everything is a lesson.
Yeah.
But I do, because I feel like I lost 2 years of our firm because there was just so much like
friction.
Yeah. Best way I can describe it.
Yeah. Should I try to answer this question? Because I've built my business in such an intentional way and slowly that I don't think I would do anything very differently.
Well, you also had goals of like immediately you knew you wanted to hire right away. You didn't even care if it was like for 5 hours a week, which most people won't do, because you're like, you knew the value of what you wanted with your kids.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't want to miss them growing up. So like for you valued that more than money.
Yeah.
Which was like, I still want to make money.
But having that already built in from the very beginning has allowed me to create a pricing structure that I've never felt like I really have to like make huge price increases, because I hired so early on that my margins have always been what they are. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've always had to share in that revenue with my team. And so I didn't have to really like make a mindset adjustment with a price adjustment, which is usually what the issue is when we talk to other bookkeepers about like raising their prices. Yeah. They have to raise them so that they can hire, but like there's all this mindset stuff around it.
So you already tackled it because that was already like your goal from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So you had to work through it quickly.
Yeah, like from the very beginning. And I have the benefit of having already had to delegate a lot in corporate, so like that was another hurdle that I didn't really have. So I was like, I know how to build an accounting team.
Yeah.
That's the easy part. It's like for me it was more like just balancing everything. And so I almost immediately hired. I always knew from the very beginning I didn't want to work more than 10 to 15 hours a week in my firm.
Yeah.
And to this day there's maybe been a couple months where when I've had some turnover and I had to pick up slack.
Yeah.
But all in all, I rarely work more than 10 hours a week on the firm side.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this before. Most of the hours that I put in working are for this brand, for this podcast, for my students, which I love. And the only reason I'm able to, sometimes it can be draining, but it's like, it's that passion behind it that allows me to keep the energy going. But let's talk about this. I think the staying motivated piece.
Oh, fun stuff. Yeah.
You ready to dive in?
I'm motivated.
You're motivated? I came out here literally to motivate her. No.
Yeah, for real. I think for real. I don't even know how it ended up happening.
Because you had been traveling a lot. We generally get together in the middle of summer in July. And so it's like kind of a tradition. And I was like, you know what? I have space in my calendar.
Yeah. And I was like, I just can't. I asked you as a friend. I was like, I cannot come to you this time. I like really need to be home because I'm traveling a lot.
And so I was like, I'll come out there. Let's do
it's
like
only 5 hours.
Let's do it like next weekend or whatever.
Yeah,
so
and I was like, perfect. Cool, it works out. But I was telling you before you came out here that like I've been struggling. So to give people context listening, I literally, today is the day I actually got back from 3 weeks unplugged from the business. Like I was supposed to be in Europe for the 3 weeks, but everything was going wrong. So I ended up coming back. But I was like, I'm not coming back, team. Like just because I'm back and you know that I'm back does not mean I'm working. And so because I've just been feeling so much like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, I feel overwhelmed. Like, I know what I want, but like, I just don't feel like steering the ship anymore. I'm just like so overwhelmed. Anyways, so I called you and I was telling you about it. And then when you said you were coming out here and I had like voice noted to you, I'm like, I just need some help with a couple things. Like, I'm really struggling. I cannot get motivated. I can't figure it out. I don't know what's happening. Like, you know, I just need some time. But also at the same time, I'm cool if we don't talk about business one time. Yeah. Like, because that sometimes is honestly all I need.
You have to be okay with that. Yeah.
And I was very frustrated. Like, and this is probably such a good thing to say, because I think a lot of times we put this like limit on ourselves, or not limit, whatever the word is, where we say, okay, if I take these 3 weeks off, when most people would be like, oh my God, Alyssa, I would love to take 3 weeks off from not having to worry about the business. And it's great, but at the same time, it's like I kept telling myself, after these 3 weeks, I'm going to get motivated. So I gave myself a deadline, and I should not have done that to myself, because I know myself way too well. I need to let it naturally like happen. And then where's the drawing line between when I have to force myself versus when I just let it happen? Mm-hmm. And I just remember telling you, like, I'm just really overwhelmed, and like
don't know where to really
and I was like
in.
literally 2 days ago.
I have a note on this same notepad. It says Alyssa marketing strategy versus process, because you were like, this is the thing that I'm having a hard time. I need to get like a marketing strategy in place and like la la la. And I was like, I don't know what exactly she means, but after being here and kind of just having regular organic conversations about life and just being in your presence and seeing like where your head's at, your energy and everything, I was like, okay, now I feel like I can come with some suggestions and just like planting little seeds of ideas. I don't even know how it happened.
Honestly, I think it's probably, this is going to sound really crazy, but it's like subliminal messages, like whatever I don't even know. I just say weird half the time. So like subliminal messaging, what I mean by that is like, Serena got to see me at my new house, and she can actually walk into my home and see all the construction I'm doing at my house to see and understand why I'm a little bit overwhelmed. Like, like what's going on? Like you get to also see my mood and like what's changed about me, like how I've been like, you know, prioritizing different things, and I'm also no longer drinking, and like you got to see like me in a different way. And I think that's why the being in person is so important. Like you said, before you can help me, it's like I really need to understand. That's why we're really good coaches, because as coaches, we don't just ask, like people come to us and say, Alyssa, I want like systems. It's going to solve all my freaking problems if I just download this one system. That's not how it works. Like I need to understand like what's happening in your life. I need the full picture. So I think you coming out here got to see the full picture. And then like we would just be randomly talking. I think it was the first day, because as soon as Serena got here, it was like 94 degrees, guys, which is not normal for Lake Arrowhead, because it's usually really cool. We don't have AC up here. It's like not normal. As soon as I said landed, like as if you're on a freaking airplane.
Landed in my Explorer.
In your Explorer in my front yard. As soon as she got here, I was like, we're blowing these tubes up. We're going to the lake. So we went down to my dock and we were just sitting in the water. And then she was like, well, how are you? Like, because usually everyone's always asking me, how's the business and stuff? And you asked me, like, how are you? And I told you what I've been going through and everything. And then also told you what's going on in the business. And I think we just naturally just started talking. And then you were pulling things. You do the coaching thing where you like shift, and then sometimes I don't notice. I think she's being a friend.
I'm like a ninja.
All of a sudden I'm like, she's just my friend.
All of a sudden you're crying. No, you weren't this time, but I have made you.
Yes, where you pulled out your little coaching hat, and I'm like, are you coaching me? I literally like halfway through was like, are you coaching me right now? Because she does this thing where she's so sly about it. It's so interesting. I'm like, she's just being my bestie, but she's like, I'm putting my coaching hat on. But it naturally came up, just like things that I'm just going through, and you're just like, well, what's stopping you? And I'm like, it's just I need a body double. If you don't know what a body double is, it's a term they use when like you suffer from like I don't know, suffer, but you have ADD or ADHD, or you just have like attention problems. And they call it body doubling, which means that you just need someone to sit next to you. That sometimes that alone can get you motivated. And I was like, dude, I think I just need a body. And I told you that. I was like, dude, I think I just need a body double. Like I just need someone to sit next to me. Like I just can't get motivated. You know. And
then you like shared a couple other, I can't remember exactly how we landed on it. We did start talking about, you were like, I need to figure out something like to just keep this stuff on autopilot. And I was like, well, let me share what I'm doing with my like automated webinar. So it's like I have, and Alyssa soon will have this because we laid out the plan for her.
So hopefully by the time this comes out, it will be out there into the world.
But yeah, basically, like you can go to a page on my website. It's just a training landing page.
AmbitiousBookkeeper.com/training.
I'm all awkward. I'm like, should I plug this right now?
Yeah, do it. YOLO.
Yeah, so AmbitiousBookkeeper.com/training. And it's less than an hour of a training for anyone who is like thinking about starting a bookkeeping business, or like you have the skills for the bookkeeping business, but you don't have the business background to run a business. So I walk you through basically the steps and get to help you get started. So that is a free training that you can access anytime. But like there's more to it, because obviously it's like, well, at the end, if you want to work with me, this is what you can do, blah, blah, blah. So there's all these steps and layers, and it's not just a training. Like there's all this back end stuff that needs to be done. So it's like, that was one of the things that was like, that you're capable of doing it, but sometimes you just need someone to be like, this step 1, step 2, step 3, just like you listener, that you probably come to this podcast to listen to tactical steps of what you need to do.
Just give me the list. Yeah. And that's really what I told you. I was just like, because this is in regards to Workflow Queen, because I do a terrible job, which I'm sure everybody listening does a terrible job of talking about their own stuff, because like we think that we're talking about it all the time when like people don't see every email. They don't see everything. Just like for a great message for everybody is like, you're not talking enough about your is all I have to say. Like, you usually are not. And like, if you think you're being annoying, you're not, because people subscribe to your stuff, they can unsubscribe and they can leave. They chose to be in your world. And so for me, one of the big things is I need to start talking more about what we do and implement bigger strategies here at Workflow Queen. And that was like the biggest. I was just like, dude, I really want to like hire out like a marketing assistant. I've got all, because that was originally what I told you I wanted to work on. I was like, I just want to hire a marketing assistant. But then it was like, but what's going on? Like, why aren't you moving this forward? Like, what's happening? Because I know how to build a job description. I know how to interview the people. I hire amazing, incredible people all the time. But why is this one stalling me? And then you kept asking the questions of like, to get deeper. And I'm like, I just need someone to push me. Like, I just need someone to like, I'm just tired of making the decisions, or I just need someone to bounce an idea off of. And listen, or who's already done it, where I can just be like, you don't have to tell me everything. I don't need to see your emails. I don't need to see all the details. I just want to know, give me the asset list. What do I need to create? So then I could just like be like, guys, this is what you're creating right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other times that you were out visiting me, we kind of did the same thing where I just was like,
I feel like this is a theme.
I know.
It's like Alyssa's in chaos. Alyssa comes visit Serena. Alyssa gets fine.
Alyssa gets fine. Alyssa makes money.
Alyssa makes money and she's okay. She's not stressed anymore. But it's true. It's the same cycle every time. I realize that every time we've ever met up in person, that wasn't for BKX or like my own retreats or something. It was literally because,
well, even at your own retreat I coached you. Remember that?
I'm chaos. I need to go see Serena. That's like my new thing. She's like, I pretty much am here to be your therapist. I'm like, you pretty much are.
I'm your secret weapon.
Yeah, but that just goes to show that like sometimes your motivation comes in different forms. Some people are doers, like we talked about this, like your human design and stuff. You're like such a doer and a go, and I'm just like not. My energy just needs to be like, I know that your energy needs to be protected as well, but what I mean is like, I really need to recharge myself almost every day. Like I literally, you saw me this morning. I did 1 hour on my computer. It's like my first day back from 3 weeks. 1 hour. And I'm sitting there like, I'm done. And Serena's like, what? And I was like, I literally, I'm just over it.
But you weren't, you did end up doing more today.
I did, because you were like, just do it, Alyssa, like just put the thing together. And I was like, no, but then there's this, because I was making all these excuses.
Trying to overcomplicate it.
Yeah, and you were like, here's templates that you can find that from this person that you can purchase, which goes to show that's why we build what we build. It's like, it's because why would you try to like build all these things from scratch? Just today I was able to do something that I haven't done in a while that just made me money. Yeah. Just from like, just using templates that already exist from someone who's been there, done that. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you just do that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So the motivation that helps with like when you have other resources or people to lean on. Yeah. Community. Yeah. People that can direct you to the right resource, because in your mind, a lot of times we will overcomplicate things because we don't know what's available to us. We don't know that that resource exists. And so you feel like you have to recreate the wheel. Yeah. Not recreate the wheel, but like create it. Like you, like from scratch. Like you have to invent the wheel. Like when all the answers are probably somewhere or probably out there. And I think that just is like the motivation factor. I mean, I know that you go through moments, but I feel like what I have seen from you, which is funny how we just operate differently, like that, just as humans. We were talking about this today about how we can have the same firm, and I was like, let me see your Notion. Like, I want to see what you're doing in Notion. And because sometimes you just want to see how other people are doing stuff. It's like, it's so crazy that we can run the same business, but yet have things set up so differently. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. I told it like a butterfly. Oh, yeah. Like it just flew. Oh, we were talking about like our energy levels, and like I've definitely for you. Been That's right. through. So I noticed that when you go through life, pretty like hefty in your life, I noticed that like you're just like, I don't care about not that I don't care about the business. That's not the right word. What I mean is like I relinquish control. Like you're just like, yeah, that's what I mean by I don't care. So your I don't care turns into I just trust the universe. Like that's what I've seen from you is like you just lean in and you're like, if whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and I'm gonna let other people take over. And like that's also sometimes when like we disappear for us, but I'm there for you. You always know, like you can always call me, but there are times like that. But I've noticed that about you in your business. Like for me, I'll just fucking spin in it's like circles and circles and not stop. And I need someone like so bad just to like get me out of my hole that I'm digging for myself. Spiral. Yeah, but you're different. Like it's just funny that we both just do things a little bit different. I think there was definitely a time in my business where I did act that way. Yeah, especially if I felt like I didn't have control in my life. That was when I was really bad about that. And then to be 100% honest,
my outlook and the way that I run my business completely changed whenever I went to your breakthrough retreat.
Oh,
like,
well, that's good.
Because that's when I figured out like what I really wanted my culture to be like. Like I've always had the vision.
The first one, Nashville?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, like I've always had
the whole time.
Yeah, really?
You just like gatekeep information for me. I'm feeling really offended right now. I should have given you the feedback form because I thought you were a speaker and I don't need to give it to you. But apparently I should have given you one.
Well, I did a testimonial video because they had the videographer or whatever. But yeah, I did. I really did feel like, because I've always had that vision. I always knew I wanted a team and all this kind of stuff. But the missing piece for me really was, and I knew that before that retreat, that I was like, I need to figure out what my culture is going to be like what values I really hold strongly
for you,
for myself and for my team and for
what
my
you
company.
want reflected on them.
And so once I nailed that down, like things really changed. And I'm not saying that I've had every hire I've made is perfect, but I'm able to identify when people aren't a right fit a lot faster.
When
Do
you
I
know
act
what you
on it
want,
fast enough?
it's
That's
like,
another question.
That too. But I think that at the end of the day, it's all about, sorry if you guys hear loud ass stinging, it's totally the church bell, so it's going to keep going for a good hot minute. So I'm going to apologize.
It's kind of like nostalgic for me since the town I grew up in has this same thing every quarter hour, actually. It'll oh my God, that's too much. This went off one time, and Ian, lovely Ian, who's Serena's brother, plus also the one who edits our podcast. Yeah.
He one time slacked me and he was like, there's like background noise or background music. So I had to go check the podcast. And it was the bell, and I was like, dude, I'm not re-recording. Like, it's just life. Like, I can't, it's every hour.
Yeah.
And it will ding.
It dings the number of
Did you know that? Because I didn't know that. My
Yeah.
mom came to visit me, and she was like, did you know that it dings a number of hours of the hour it's at? And I was like, no way. So if anybody wants to test that,
that's
just
why
go
it's
back
really
and listen.
annoying
so it's around,
at 12.
What, 5? Yeah, at 12. And I'm like, okay, we're still here. Like, we're still going. So sorry, I don't even know where we were going with our conversation because we got interjected by this lovely church bell.
Yeah, it's nostalgic for me because the town I grew up in had the same thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the church. It was actually the university, I think. Actually, I don't really know. I'll have to fact check myself on that.
Yeah. It's okay. We could just Google your city and just look it up.
But yeah, we were talking about like relinquishing control and just kind of like letting go. But I would not have been able to react that way or respond, really. It's not a reaction, it's a response. In that way without having gone through the work of building my team culture and what I really like, the type of people I really needed on my team
to execute.
Because I was able to step back from my business for almost an entire year while I dealt with some really heavy personal stuff.
Yeah.
And my team ran the business.
Yeah, which is great.
For the most part.
Like I kill for that.
They would still like check in with me. Like I wasn't completely MIA. I still showed up to meetings and stuff, but like
predominantly, like they didn't need you if it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, there was a lot of time where they just,
figured it out
and ran with it.
You'd be surprised. It's a good message for anyone who's listening. Like, you think that everyone needs you all the time, and it's because you give them the opportunity to always need you.
Yeah.
And if you remove yourself, I bet you your bottom dollar, that literally they will figure it out. I can't tell you how many times I've been gone on like my month trips, and I'm like, nope, I'm not answering any of your questions because I'm not, one, I don't have the apps on my phone. I delete all of them.
Yeah.
But two, I don't want to. Like, don't ask me questions. I'm not going to answer. And by the time, they'll slack. There's so many times where I'll see messages that were deleted or it'll say deleted. And I swear to you, and I'm like, because they will figure it out. Like, your team will naturally, like, figure it out unless they really need your answers.
Yeah, which if they do, then you've created that dynamic.
Resource also that says only reach out to me if, which is on my vacation debrief that we gave at the retreat actually, and we give in breakthrough, and it says pretty much, this is our emergencies. If our ads fail or we get hacked or payroll doesn't get ran, like, then you can reach out to me.
Yeah.
If it's not on that list, no.
Yeah.
You will get ignored. I will not answer. It sounds really crazy because people think I'm crazy.
Yeah, but like, what's happening for the people that are like, well, I can't do that because my team still has all these questions. Well, you've actually created that.
The questions. You created the question monster
on your back or whatever. Yeah. Because you've allowed people to come to you and ask you every little thing, and you've given them an answer without asking them to come up with the solution.
Well, because
now they're afraid, or they have come up with the solution, you shot it down.
That, or like you haven't given them the confidence to trust themselves. Or the other thing that I always see too is that, like, It's easier. I know for myself, I would way rather, especially now at this like point in my journey, like way rather have someone else answer the question. Like it's so much, I would not want to think through anything anymore. I'm just like at that place where I'm like, everyone else come up with the strategy, everyone else come up with the solutions. I no longer want it to be me. It's the same. So imagine like the team as well. The team typically gets to a point too where it's like, it's much easier to ask Serena. It's much easier to ask Alyssa than it is for me to solve it on my own, because I know I have to do the research and I don't want to. But like you have to force them. So one thing that we do that's, I say sounds annoying, but it kind of is annoying, but it works really well, is when a team member asks a question, what do you think?
Yeah.
Brooke does it too. So Brooke Swan does it all the time. And she's like, yeah, I throw it right back at them and say, what do you think? And then they'll usually say, and usually it's right.
Yeah.
Usually they always have the solution.
They just weren't like really trusting their own instinct.
Yeah. Or did you check Google Drive? Did you check Notion?
Yeah.
Did you check that text message? Like, did we do everything that we could to get the answer to this? Or like the best part is like I have a team member and she always asks me like random questions sometimes about the bookkeeping. She's new, so like I give her some grace on like asking me questions, but she has strict rules and she always has to come up with a solution. And she always will reach out and she'll be like, what's this? And I'm like, well, what do you think? And she'll tell me, and I'm like, exactly. So, like, what's the problem? Like, you're fine. Like, and she's like, I know. I'm just like, I'm new, and I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm like, I totally get it. Like, it's totally fine. But just know that, like, did you check the places? And then not only that, but the one time I remember she asked me a question about like, it was like some sort of expense or transaction, or do you know this? And I'm like, honestly, you probably know more than I do. I don't even touch that client's books because we have our account manager. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't touch it. I wouldn't know the answer to that. I'm like the last person that you want to ask the question to. And there's that too. So I sometimes pretend like I don't know the answer. Sometimes I actually don't. But sometimes I like, literally I'm like, I have no idea, but really I do. And sometimes I just want to see what they say.
Yeah.
And be like, surprise. Never mind. You're wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Did know. And you're freaking wrong.
Yeah.
Just kidding. People are going to listen to this and be like,
what is wrong with you guys? At least it's not loud anymore.
Okay, do we have other questions? No, I don't
feel like we should do a part 2 because I feel like the people are going to want the part 2.
Okay, so
let's conclude.
What did we learn today? That Serena and Alyssa are
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
They're cray cray. And we're also human. I'm like talking about us in third person. They're also human.
Yeah, and we're human, very human. The big message is, well, the questions were about how did we meet? Yeah. All the things. Everything just ties back to like just getting support. Whether it's support from your team, whether it's support from like people. Mm-hmm. And like find your people, your motivation. Sometimes like you need to look outside yourself. Because if you can't find motivation, I've learned this about myself, you've got to lean on other people. It could be like reading, for whatever your energy boost is to get you remotivated and re-excited about your business. Like just know like it never goes away. You won't always be excited. You should have ups and downs. So it's like the major message here.
Yeah. And like I remember giving you like a couple different ideas here and there. I was like, well, I know what helped me last year, because I went through kind of the same thing where I was just like, went through a lot of life stuff. I'd taken a step back from, front facing stuff. And I was like, you start to get used to that when you're in that phase. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Like, I don't know if I can, and I don't know if I want to, but I know that like the passion is still there. I needed a boost. Right. Yeah. And one thing that did help me was like, I went to an in-person event. So the other theme is like connecting with other humans in real life,
and people like sometimes not in the same industry.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing too. A lot of accountants and bookkeepers just go to the same
industry
events.
Specific stuff.
Like go to other things. You find other marketing ideas. Like me and you know some crazy marketing ideas that nobody's ever done in the space. Yeah. Because we look at other industries. Like that's how you get re-inspired.
Yep. So I did that. I went to an in-person event in December, and I didn't even actually...
That's a very loud truck.
I know. I didn't even actually like attend every day of the event, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to because I couldn't be there for the whole thing, but I went in with the mindset of like, I know I can't be here for the full thing. I'm not going to get FOMO, but I'm going to be 100% present and participate in every activity that is during this day that I can be there. Yeah. And there was some literal like life-changing emotional stuff that happened in that event, and it wasn't an accounting event.
Yeah. I always pretend like this is so stupid. I don't know if it was you that I was just talking to about this. I always pretend like I'm going to die the next day. Did I tell you that this morning? Where I was like, here's my philosophy. Well, I'm just going to die. Maybe what if I die tomorrow, then I'm not going to want to work. So I close the laptop. So then it's like, it defeats the whole point of what I'm trying to say.
If I was on my deathbed tomorrow,
would I really want to be working today?
If someone asked you what you wish you would have done.
Yeah. And then I told Serena, well, that's probably my problem of why I never want to work every day, because like, what if? So anyways.
Are you afraid of dying? Is that the real problem?
Remember that one moment? Remember that one moment last year? Like I had a good 3 months where I thought I was going to die. This is some deep, we're not going to get that deep, people. But yeah, I had a good hot minute of legitimately thought something's freaking me out. Remember I got my will done and was freaking out. I was like, death just kept coming up. Yeah, it's too dark for everyone here. Anyways, that's my life. But I'm no longer feeling like that, which is weird. It just went away out of nowhere. But the reason what I'm trying to say is sometimes I go to these types of events and always say if I wasn't here in 2 days and I wasn't alive, you would put yourself and talk to people. Yeah. You're not going to go and say, I'm only here on this earth for 2 more days. I'm not going to talk to anybody. That's not really how it goes. So if you just go into those events as scared as you are, that you don't want to have conversations with people you don't know, it's just get in and just pretend you're not going to be here in 2 days, and that you can make all these friends and that you would have your lasting memories. Then you would go all in. Yeah. That's my secret sauce.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I've kind of been living my life the past couple of years of and pursuing things that I did not pursue previously in my life, because I mean, you get to this realization at a certain point in your life. For me, I told you I was almost 40 the other day, and you're like, what? You're not almost 40. I'm like, I will be in 3 years.
You're like, I'm like, that's 3 years from now. You're so crazy.
But it's because of the life experiences that I've had,
when you also shared your mom passing around an age that you're almost at.
My mom passed away when she was 39, and so things get real freaking fast when you get into your late 30s and you start reevaluating everything. And I think everyone kind of has since COVID, but it's on another level for me right now. And so I constantly am it's my litmus test of should I, kind of your whole, should I be working now or doing something fun? I try to balance it, but I'm kind of doing the same thing where I'm when I'm on my deathbed, am I going to regret not trying this thing? And that's part of why I didn't even know there was a road right there.
Pretty sure it's my neighbor too. So we're gonna get mad at him later. It's the church where the bells and the cars
are.
And
the cars. But yeah, that's my litmus test is when I'm on my deathbed, am I going to look back at this moment and wish that I had not or had pursued this opportunity? And that's why I've been pouring so much time and energy into my music, because I'm
that's your passion.
Yeah.
Right? You're in a different season.
I've always wanted it.
Great
I've always wanted
for part
it.
2.
Yeah.
Seasons of life.
Seasons of life. All right. So that's part 2.
And what else are we talking about so we get the people excited?
Oh, some other tactical stuff.
Yeah. We swear we'll talk about tactical things, people.
We are going to talk about, because I have had people in my community asking about setting up SOPs for your firm and proactively delegating, which I think is a really great topic.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah. We'll talk about all the things.
All right.
And probably get distracted.
Yeah.
And be prepared for church bells.
Yeah. And cars and birds and
squirrels.
And
bears, maybe. I don't know. Fish
bites. All right. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you to everyone who helps make this podcast possible. Content and interviews are produced by me, Serena Show. Our intro and outro music is written and performed by my brother, Ian Gilliam. Editing is also by Ian using his awesome sound engineering skills along with Descript software. Hosting and publishing is by Buzzsprout. And you can check out the show notes for links to all of these amazing resources and resources mentioned in the episode.
Be ambitious.